This is lesson 8.1 on finding the circumference of a circle. So first we're just going to review some parts of a circle. So the radius is here, and that's the distance from the center to the edge. The diameter is the distance all the way across the circle. It has to also go through the center. Finding circumference today is finding the distance around the circle. So with other shapes, we call that perimeter, but with the circle, we call that circumference. We're going to be using a formula today. There's a couple of formulas for circumference. We can take pi times diameter. When they're shoved together like that, that means they're being multiplied, or 2 times pi times radius. The reason you can use either one of those is if you look back up there, the diameter is all the way across, the radius is halfway. So it would take radius times 2 to make the diameter. And so that's why this one formula down here works, because if you take 2 times the radius, that gives you the diameter. The main one we're going to be using today here is pi times diameter. So the formula here, C stands for circumference, D for diameter, R for radius, and then pi. So this is the Greek symbol for pi. This is how we pronounce it. And we're going to round it to the hundredths place. So instead of an equal sign right here, that means approximately 3.14 because we have rounded it. Pi actually never ends, and so that's why we've rounded it to the nearest hundredth to use it. Now we're going to practice some of those problems. So we have a circle here on example 1. It's giving us the diameter of 15. So notice I've got my formula written here. C is equal to pi times diameter. I've shown it over here with the multiplication sign. We'll be using 3.14 on all of our problems today for pi. So I'm replacing or substituting 3.14 in for pi, and I'm going to multiply that by the diameter. So the diameter on this problem is 15. If you don't already have a calculator, grab one, and you can practice with me as we go. So after you have plugged that into your calculator, then we'll write our answer. Since circumference is finding a distance around, then that's why it will just be inches, not inches squared or inches cubed. We are not going to round our answers today. Your practice problems do not have you rounding, so I'm not going to have you practice rounding. Example 2. Let's write our formula. Circumference is equal to pi times diameter. Let's substitute in our numbers. So 3.14 for pi. We'll multiply that by the diameter. So check the picture and make sure it really is the diameter, and it is. It's going all the way across. So I'm going to multiply that by 50. Okay, if you want to plug that into your calculator. So that's 157 centimeters. Example 3. Start with writing your formula. Circumference is equal to pi times diameter. We're using 3.14 for pi. On your practice problems today, it will tell you that on each problem that what you're going to use for pi. And then we're going to multiply that by the diameter, double check. So that is the diameter, 25. And plug that in. So circumference is 78.5 inches. Okay, you'll also have some story problems, and some of them are going to give you the circumference and they want you to work back and find the diameter. So example 4, the circumference is 103 and 62 centimeters, and we are supposed to find the diameter. So we will start with this formula. But instead of knowing the diameter, we don't. We'll be finding the diameter. So I'm going to put in 103 and 62 hundredths in for the circumference. And I'm still going to use 3.14 for pi. We can shove the d right next to it, or you can still show an x for multiplication. Both ways mean multiply. So since we multiplied pi and diameter to get that, then it makes sense that we're going to reverse that to solve for that. So even if you want to think of it like we have in the past with our equations, to undo multiplication, we're dividing. If I divide one side by 3.14, then I need to divide the other side by 3.14. So over here, you're taking this side, 103.62, and dividing it by 3.14. Okay, that should give you 33, and that's your diameter, and I'm just going to rewrite that. Our label will be centimeters. It's the distance across the circles, so that would just be centimeters. Okay, example 5 is similar. They've given us the circumference and we're finding the radius. So part of it is similar in that they're giving us the circumference, but the part that's different is instead of just finding diameter, we're going to find radius. So we can use this formula, or if you want to stay with the same formula, you can do that and find diameter first and then take half to find radius. So if it's easier to stay with that same formula, then we're going to put our circumference in for C, our 3.14 in for pi, and we're going to find diameter. So on this side, 3.14 is being multiplied by D is being multiplied by 3.14, so to undo that, we're going to divide by 3.14. Okay, you can plug that in, 188.4 divided by 3.14. Now remember, that's the diameter, so you have to be careful that you read the question, and we want radius. So remember, diameter is all the way across, so if we want radius, we just want half of that. So half of 60 would be 30. So the radius would be 30 inches. So some things to look for. Most of the lessons we're going to be doing are still going to be in your book. So if you want to look at your book, you're looking at Chapter 8, Lesson 1. You can use a calculator. On any problems that we're doing online, if Alex gives you a calculator, great, but if it doesn't, you can use one. And then it will allow you to redo missed problems, so feel free to redo them. After you finish, I'll be able to see your score, but if you redo, it's just going to show me the best score that you made on that.